Hey everyone, we're on episode 3 of the Celestine prophecy. Crystals, yogas, and other things that we all decide to add into this. Anita Rein. Yeah, so we'll be joined by Anita Rein with the yoga, and Brandon usually is here, but he might have got caught up in something today or something like that. But if he happens to join, I'm sure he'll jump right in. It's funny though because I missed, not on purpose, I told Brandon to watch a video that was mentioned about a topic that was mentioned in this chapter that I didn't realize until I read the chapter, and we had already started talking about the topic. I thought that was so interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
All the lines.
Right. Yeah, so how you feeling? How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. I'm all right. I feel like we're getting through the last of winter down here, so looking forward to that. But yeah, very interesting chapter. It's kind of a lot, I would say.
It is a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
And I usually try to explain quantum mechanics to people, but I feel like every time I do it, I say something different, which I feel like is okay. But it is quite it's quite open to perspective, is what I like about it. Okay, so I will jump in with the chapter summary. So, okay, so the narrator meets Will, right, in the last chapter, after Phil kind of got caught up. So Will brings the narrator to Will's friend's house at a resort, Vicente Lodge. Vicente Lodge. So at first, Will says at this lodge, the government is hands off, even though they mention the manuscript, because the place typically brings in tourist money. But by the end of the chapter, they're kind of there rustling people's feathers. So this place that Will takes the narrator to, it's kind of far off. Oh, Brandon's here. Hey.
Hey, what's good?
How you feeling?
Good. I was just running in from work real quick.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was mentioning that I had told you to look at quantum mechanics before even realizing that's the chapter. I thought that was pretty interesting, but yeah, I was just going over the summary for the chapter. So yeah, as Will brings the narrator to this lodge, which is kind of far from like the city, the landscape, like the nature is a lot more lush, especially just not being around so many people like traveling through it or around it or in it. So the landscape's a lot more lush. Everything's more full. It gets the right amount of water and sunlight it all needs. So he's noticing how good it all looks, and he's appreciating that it makes him feel good energetically. He's also sensing like just being here and looking out at this nature makes me feel better on the inside. So once Will tells him to go check out the gardens so he can get him more familiar with the insight, he meets someone named Sarah Lorner, who tells him, yeah, you're right. Because you're appreciating the beauty in the forest, the energy's literally making you feel better. And she talks about how that's basically what the third insight is. We'll now be able to perceive this kind of invisible energy. When I first see it, it reminds me of when somebody's staring at you from a weird direction, and then you turn your head and your eyes directly meet whoever's eyes was staring at you, because you just feel, you just have that feeling where it's like somebody's in, somebody's in my space right now, even though they're far off. It's like you're in my energetic space. So that reminds me of that. And they talk about how sometimes we dive so deep into science where we need physical proof, there's no physical evidence, that it removes the esoteric essence and uncertainty from the world, which I think is a big, if not half, more than half, at least half. So she talks about Isaac Newton saying the universe is predictable based on physical proof. And then you have quantum mechanics where, loosely, the act of observation itself alters the results of anything, essentially. So basically, with quantum mechanics, they have this experiment called Schrodinger's Cat. And they put a little cat, everyone stays safe, a poem. Oh, we would love to hear the poem. So they put this cat in a box that you can't see inside of once you put the cat in there. And then they take poisonous food and they put the poisonous food in the box with the cat. And if the cat eats the poisonous food, the cat dies, right? But if the cat doesn't eat the food, the cat stays alive. But once you put the cat in the box and close it, you don't know if it's dead or alive. So basically, due to quantum mechanics, the cat is both dead and alive at the same time until the act of observation determines whether exactly the cat is dead or alive. Because typically, the universe, while it's alive and moving, will remain still or will remain as is until our energy is applied to it for it to make a decision about something. You understand what I'm saying? So even when it's like, I'm going a little far off, but even when you have the context of like, that's why it's always better to have a positive mind frame of things, because no matter how hard you try, your energy is going to affect those around you and vice versa. You feel me? Like, so you could have a negative mindset and either bring stuff down to your level or, meet people where they're at, or try to go above and bring up people up to you. Okay. And then you have Albert Einstein, where they say matter is empty space with a pattern of energy running through it. So humans discover a new energy which forms the basis of and radiates outward from all living things, including ourselves. And this is started with a heightened sensitivity to beauty. So the more we can open ourselves up to seeing the beauty in other living things, especially living things, the more sensitive we'll be to that energy, the more better we'll be able to perceive that energy. And once you do start getting into that energy, they talk about that you can literally see the energy fields of like people or plants, even like the food that you eat. One time I was in this workshop with Robbie. I know Danielle knows Robbie, Brandon might be familiar, but she does these poetry healing workshops. And by the end of the workshop, somebody that was sitting across from me, I saw like their energy field, a white energy field around them. And I just went and told them like, yo, your field looks nice and pure and white right now. You're doing everything you should be doing at this time. Everything's looking great. So yeah, they're telling him about seeing energy fields above people and things, and almost at the same time when he's going to be skeptical about it, three men walk up to Sarah and the narrator, kind of in doubt of these energetic fields you can see, because there's no physical proof. And I thought that was interesting that happened right after he found out about it, or right after he heard about it and was beginning to kind of believe it. And then it's like, here these people come immediately, bringing him down back to you need physical proof. Okay, so then they run into someone named Majorie, who tells them about the beam plant energy systems and their new potency after the experiments, where some people come and focus their energy by looking at them, messing around with like the roots, making sure the roots are good, everything is moist, but very intentfully doing it with a discipline that you can see the quality of the food is better than the ones that they kind of ignore, not necessarily ignore, but give less attention to, less attention to. So they meet a Professor Haynes who is doing long-term tests to discover if the quality of the food helps with better bodily functions, which is very interesting. Then the narrator starts checking out Marjorie in more of a, physical way. And again, like I was saying, where you can feel people staring at you, Marjorie's probably at a point where she could feel his attraction to her. Because also when you think about matter is empty space with a pattern of energy running through it, even if, because I'm matter, so I'm empty space and there's a pattern of energy running through me. But that minute somebody even thinks about me, my pattern is going to change just because the applied energy is going to make something different. You know what I'm saying? Am I making sense?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
kind of, I
Okay,
guess,
great.
the physical way to put that is like, if you emotionally don't feel good about yourself, your physical outer body starts getting weaker. Like, that's energy. Your energy is not good. So then your physical being changes.
Facts. Big facts. That as well. Okay. So yeah, he looks at Marjorie in a way that I guess she wasn't expecting at the time. So she gets kind of not turned off, but she steps away for a second to rebalance her energy. So then the narrator finds out the best time to see the fields are at sunset or sunrise. So he wakes up at 5 a.m. and meets someone named Phil. Is that right? Is there another Phil?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's Phil.
He meets Phil Stone, and he shows him how to do the energy between his fingers early morning. I think, Danielle, you mentioned you tried something like this?
Yeah, so I kind of falling off again, but I was trying to do like yoga and meditation every single morning, if I physically and energetically could. Um, and a couple weeks ago, I was finishing my yoga, like doing some meditation with my legs up the wall, and I looked up at my feet, and I saw like a yellow like aura around my feet, and I was like, "Oh shoot!"
It's quite exciting.
I was like, it's happening.
Quite exciting.
And I can't remember if it was the same day or not, but I looked over, like, it was, and this is like really early in the morning, like, so when I finish my yoga and meditation, it's like as the sun's coming up,
Right.
sunrise. And then I can't remember if it was the same day or not, but I remember looking over towards the window and like everything looked really blue. And I was like, whoa. So I'm trying to get back to that.
Right. They also mention towards the end that they don't necessarily say don't eat meat, but they definitely say eat more veggies and fruit. The implication is to help see and maintain the seeing of the fields. So basically, if you haven't read the book, I believe what it is you hold your fingers up towards the sky. You have like the sky in the background, and then you kind of unfocus your eyes and see. Now they say the first time you might not be able to get it, so you'd have to try maybe a couple times, depending on how much beauty you're getting from the world around you. Because remember, with your heightened sensitivity to beauty is how it helps you see the field. So I do think you can do it with the crystal too. One finger and one crystal. You could probably even do two crystals. But the better tuned you are to the specific crystal or crystal energy in general, I'm sure that will help.
There was one thing I noticed. Sorry, that I noticed about like when they said you really have to see how beautiful something is to see the aura of it. I was like, that's crazy because like it's like looking outside. How many people get to stop and like see the trees? But you could look at the trees your whole life, but if you're never like, damn, this tree's beautiful, you never know the patterns of the bark or something like that. And the more you get lost into it, you like fully get absorbed. So I was like, that's what they mean. You got to see the beauty because it really slows you down. So
That's facts.
body is just like, whoa, I'm here sharing this energy with the tree. You can only
That's
do
facts.
beauty now. I see what you guys are saying.
Yeah, that's facts. You can really spend a lot of time out in nature just appreciating, you know, very small things about very big things or vice versa. But yeah, it does, you'll be almost surprised how refreshing it'll make you feel.
Last week, I decided to uh clock out early, even though I don't really have the time to spare with my job. And I took my daughter to the park because I was thinking about how you said like get by the water, get outside. I didn't end up going to the water, but we went to the park and it was really, really nice. I took her to the park again on the weekend. And I was like, I work from home now, so some days I literally like don't breathe fresh air at all. Like so it was really, really nice. And it's good, but it's bad because it was like it got me like more into myself because like I think of myself as like a free spirit. I love nature so much. Um, and so it was really, really good and refreshing, but it was also bad because now it's like a lot harder. Like the past few days been really, really hard for me to focus on my work and like have any will to do it at all when I already was like not wanting to do it. So I just had to throw that out there.
No, I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good question, like a good thing to think about, like when people, like you know, you try to make a good decision for yourself. It's like when you step outside and you feel that good energy. It's like why can't we live that kind of life? You know, like
Yeah, definitely.
we get into a world where we have to spend 9 to 5s in an office. Like, like if you didn't want to be there, then your energy is not there. But so we trap ourselves in little things that we can't get out of. And I think that's a big part of the book. So it's really eye opening to like see, you know,
Right.
plays out, and then you know the difference between how you feel. But nobody really pays attention to how you feel when you're outside now all the time. You know, they're like because it goes by so fast, you don't get enough appreciation time. But I think it's good to always go outside just a little. You know,
Yeah, I mean it's so unnatural for us to be indoors and staring at screens all the time. But like things how they like supposed to be and how they used to be is like we're out in nature, we're like walking, we're collecting berries, like we're not supposed to be just like anyway, I could go on and on about that, but coming back to the book.
Yeah, I think that's why it was so interesting that he started off quitting his job, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like at the lake, just chilling in nature, and then boom, 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 boom.
it's bad.
Okay, so where were we? Okay, so once the narrator confirms he's seen the energy between his fields, they let him know that when you're scared or confused, it's much harder to see those fields. So yeah, you need to be feeling all right at least. You know, you can't be scared. You can't. Your mental space can't be clogged as well. So then they talk about to what extent do our expectations create all things that happen to us. Because it's interesting because you have the Schrodinger's cat where it's like the cat is either dead or alive. But this is weird. But imagine there was another state of being where the cat could be something, you know, then the universe would it have to oblige to that if I had that thought before looking inside? You know what I'm saying?
Wait, can you explain that? I'm not really following.
So you put the cat in the box, right? Now, see, I'm probably going far off. In our and where we are in our dimension, in our reality, you're either dead or alive. But say there was another state. Say there was an ascension state the cat could be in, You
Okay.
feel me? And we thoroughly all believed you could see people in their ascended state. Would then the universe have to oblige and make that a possibility when I go and look in the box, or will it stay just between either dead or alive? So what it is too, one other thing I want to mention is that what they say is when you don't look at energy moving, they move as waves. But the act of observation makes things move as particles. Something about like superposition. What's up, Brandon?
I was gonna say, now that we're talking about energies again, I was seeing the. Funny that you said that. So when I first started like seeing aura, I had seen it looked like little bacteria things, but as I started, it was funny. It happened to me. I was just finished my meditation and my little tai chi, and I just laid down on the ground. I was looking at the sky, and I was like, "Wow, it's so blue. Like I haven't seen perfect clouds. It looked like someone painted it." And then all of a sudden, I saw these little things floating by, but I like didn't pay any mind to it because I was like trying to see aura like for a few days, but I was just trying to look in the mirror and like see the shadows. And then they started becoming fine pointed little like rainbow needles, and they were just vibrating super fast. So I was like, it's funny I didn't bring it up, but you described exactly how they move, and I was like, ah,
Right.
there it is. But it was all because I had looked up at the sky finally, and I was like, wow, look, painted it. I was calling Mother Nature artist basically, and then she allowed me to see those energies. So it's right there. It's really a manuscript, as they say, you know.
Right. So is this the part where the scientist comes back over and has a disagreement with Sarah, and the narrator can kind of see the energy fields, see both of their energy fields, and when one person says something, the other person's field kind of gets sucked in, and the person who said something's field grows a bit bigger, so that he sees like a live competition for energy, but I'll say in a fearful, like in a way that's like inducing fear. Like not doing it for like the beauty and the appreciation of it, but like I'm gonna steal your energy because of fear, which they'll get into more. This reminds me of the control dramas, but that's a bit later. But there's something else I had. I'm gonna come back. Oh right, so this is so there it was Valentine's Day, so I figured this would be valid to say. You know, onking energy. I have a song about this. But you know the Ankh symbol. I don't have it. I don't have it here, but it's a half of the infinity at the top, and then the two. Right there, it is. Nice, exactly that Ankh symbol. So from a perspective I heard, the way the Egyptians used to use it is that, and this is 18 plus. So any kids, get out of here. So when you're with when you're
Battle.
when you're with your lover, I guess you could do it alone as well, but when you have an orgasm, well, essentially when you're with your lover, the you have the orgasm, the energy shoots from your root chakra, it goes up to your heart, and I heard the Egyptians used to shoot the energy out of, when it hit their heart chakra, they would shoot it out of their back, throw it over their head, and push it through their partner back into themselves to give like an energy.
Wow.
So next time you're in bed, try
Hey, if y'all read those
if
X-rated
you have
till they're because they shoot it from the root chakra. That's exactly what they meant. That's why the toe shoot.
exactly. Now normally when you're not conscious of it, it might shoot from the root chakra, go straight up to your crown and right through your head, you know. But they would even have the ankh, even if no one was in front of you, you can ankh it out the back of your body, over your head, back into yourself for like a, you know, extra energy boost where you're just kind of hoarding all the orgasmic energy for yourself. Let me know if you try it. Ankh it. You feel me?
Ankh it.
Right. Okay.
Ankh it.
Right. So I think the scene starts getting hot with the government officials coming and snooping around, and the narrator admits that he's not really able to see the fields, or he noticed a drop off of energy as they left the area. And then Will's just like, yeah, that's why all the scientists and stuff really come here, because they don't even realize, that high that it gives them because you're around all the nature. Most likely appreciating it subconsciously, but
It was interesting too because the narrator says to Will, like, "Oh, you're depressing me," and he's like, no, that's you. Like, you got to bring your own energy back up."
that's facts. So yeah, there's also these experiments where they have like bowls of rice, or they're freezing water to form like like a snowflake kind of pattern, observing the pattern the water freezes in through the microscope. And they did the experiment where they would go to some bowls and say positive things and see how the pattern would form one way, or the rice would be okay. And then go to the other bowls and see the patterns form not as geometrical, kind of more scattered about when they have negative energy they express around these things. And the same thing with the rice. The rice would just get moldy real quick when they came around. And I noticed that too, because I keep a lot of my fruit on the counter, right? Like in a bowl or something. And if I'm excited to eat that fruit, I feel like it stays alive longer. As I go in and out the kitchen, I'm thinking about, oh, I'm gonna eat you in 2 days. But whereas I forget, it might be like, dang, that got moldy kind of quick. I didn't even know you was
That's
over there.
crazy. That's funny that you say that, because I was like, I don't know if anyone's ever experienced that, but like sometimes you're like looking for, like you said, you're looking forward to eating it, and you don't know how that fruit stay fresh for so long, but you forget about blueberries for like a day and they're moldy as hell. Like they know that you never intended to eat them.
Mm,
That's crazy.
That's
You know,
facts, though. That's facts. They are pretty sensitive to the energy. Like, did you forget about me? Then I'm
yeah.
gonna die.
Another thing like about that, we were talking about how the energies, like they said positive words to the plants and they were stronger. Like we have that as humans too. It's like babies who aren't nourished or shown love, their heads are flatter. I was like, it's in us, but we don't understand. You know how the second insight was you have to understand where you came from. It's like if we understand that we need that love and nourishment as humans, it's like why don't we think that there would be same exact positive, so strong.
mhm.
Yeah, they actually had to schedule in for like babies that were put up for adoption, schedule in how much time per day they had to hold them, because the babies would die if they just left them like
Mm-hmm.
just sitting all day. Like they literally had to make sure they went and picked them up and held them for a bit so that they will stay alive.
Yeah, that's how.
Humans are also, it takes so long to raise a human. All the other species, it's not that serious.
It was funny because it's like all of that stuff, like holding the baby, in the same way they said was they put their hands over the plant. So it's crazy how all of the energy comes from our hands. That's that chakra, the first meridian that opens up first.
Definitely, definitely. So you can actually do meditations like this too. Let's do that. So they have this chronic healing where you can imagine anything in front of you. That's the thing about it too. That's the thing about it only takes the applied thought. You don't always have to literally be right in front of it. It'll probably help, but whereas you might not be able to. So with the chronic healing meditations I like to get into, they say imagine, it'll be different points. It'll be like imagine the earth in front of you, send love to the earth. They'll tell you pick hot spots in the earth where like there's some type of war or natural disaster to send extra energy to. Then again we'll say, okay, now picture all your loved ones in front of you, all your coworkers. Shower them with love, like lots of energy and a good crystal to keep around. So the chakras, let's, because I'm not exactly sure. Somebody wrote root and sacral.
Uh,
Yeah, I wrote sacral because, especially because of the sexual energy he had for Marjorie,
Oh yeah.
and that's like kind of like an energy center as well.
Yeah, facts, facts, facts.
I would agree with root too, just because it's like it talked a lot about the energy from the plants and like that comes from their roots, and because we were rooted into our nature, like that would be the I guess I forget what kind of word it's like kind of going back to where we came from. So like that's where we get most of our energy. Like the more you spend in nature is the more you become part of it, kind of thing. So I guess that would be closer to our root through the back down to the feet and through the plants coming back to us.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Okay. Okay. I agree. So for me, I feel like this is far off, but I was thinking also the crown chakra. Mostly because of I guess trying to be in your higher self as you know, as you're conscious of your applied energy.
Yeah, I would see that as too, because it's all about the mental that like brings you to know that you're aware of what you're doing and to understand what's going on. So like, you can only appreciate the beauty through your eyes, and then through that connection of the higher self, knowing that everything is beautiful. You know how this beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So it's like you got to understand that everything is beautiful and that you are part of everything in order for you to even become like it's the awareness, and like you need your mental, and that's the crown that brings you to a higher state of awareness. See what's going on.
All right, so we'll go with roots. So also when you're saying too about because of his energy towards majory, that energy for male bodies it's the root chakra, and for female bodies it's the sacral chakra. So yeah, I think we're all pretty spot on. I would be cautious to use the crown chakra because obviously it's at the top, and you'd want to gradually go through each chakra. However, I wanted to mention the Super 7 crystal. So it'll come in, they'll like find deposits of it, and then each deposit, the crystal will look a little bit different, but it's very rare and it naturally contains 7 different crystals in it. So it's amethyst, caxenite, geo, no, goethite, leper. I'm the crystal person too.
Yeah.
Lepidochrosite. See, I don't know many of these crystals. Rutile, smoky quartz, and quartz. So even if we just stay between the amethyst and the smoky quartz and the quartz, I think you're hitting everything you need to hit. The smoky quartz will definitely get into your root chakra. That also helps with pulling out anxiety and depression, which you can't. That's the thing. Like you need to be okay to get into your higher self. Like anxiety, depression, those are things that's happening, but the sooner you can eliminate them from your field, the better you'll be able to get through like the insights or see the energy fields. Um, yeah, so this is good for like new beginnings. It's good for meditation. It's also good for like being in the present moment. So especially if you are out in some nature, you might be in your head so much because you finally feel like you got some space to think. But if you can step down from your head and get some time to appreciate the nature, that just might give you better clarity than trying to sit and sort through. At least while you're in nature, at least at the start, like when you first get in there, just try to appreciate what you see. Say some thank yous, gratitude. This also helps with intuition, higher self, growth, expanded awareness, enlightenment, energy transfer. So this is a pretty good crystal. If you need one, I have a bunch, but they're not on my website. But I have a bunch of them. But yeah, you can get it's almost a little bit of everything in this because it contains the 7, and they range from all the different chakras. So I would cleanse it, program it. Hey, I want to step into my higher self. I want to rock around with positive intentions. I want to send healthy, happy, gratuitous energy to people. And then I would just like throw it in my pocket or probably like do some type of journaling with it. Like, especially if I feel like I had some type of experience. Or even if you do want to go home when you get home, or when you're out in nature, that'd be a great place to go sit, appreciate the nature, and then start journaling. That's where I get some of my best poems and music started at.
I think it's crazy. I have a book that like was me to step through like seeing aura and like just being like present. And it was funny how hard it is, like when you're by yourself, just taking a walk. It's so hard to just be right there in the now. You start thinking of everything else about the day. I was like, it really is crazy. We don't really enjoy the present as much as we should. It's like we're out there in nature, no one's bothering us, and we're still thinking about everybody else but ourselves. And I think that's when you realize, you're like, I got some work to do, to
Yeah.
be able to in front of me and enjoy it. I can't even do that. But it really helps a long way. It really helps. So that's another
I
piece
think,
of
what was the last thing you said?
that's another piece of homework. Everyone take a walk outside and be present.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Big facts.
I mean, that could even happen like doing your own, like that's happened to me so many times when I'm doing yoga or meditation. I realize I'm not actually like doing yoga and meditating because I'm somewhere else in my head. And I'm like, get back to the present, like
Like,
fighting with myself.
and I think part of self-awareness, because everyone can be on autopilot for days and not even realize, like, you go
Yeah,
through, what did I do today? You're like, whoa, I don't remember doing that. And that's how not here and unaware that we could be for hours. I think
yeah,
a lot of self-awareness is a big thing that, get to these insights is what we need. I think that's the awareness, the first insight stated.
Yeah. With like stuff like meditation and yoga, if you're noticing there's a lot of like mental traffic in there, try to remember that you're the observer right now.
yeah,
You're not you're not on traffic duty right now. You're just observing the traffic. So try not to let it affect you personally when you're in that space. However, when you go back into real life, you'll see moments where you are supposed to conduct traffic, if you know what I'm saying. So, conduct it when you should so that when it's time to chill, you're not worried about all the traffic, you know?
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that makes sense. I think it was also important too in the book, um, that they said when a person hangs out with others who see this energy, they begin to see it too. Because like surrounding yourself with people, and not just who like see auras, but like who are like kind of in the same like realm as you, energy wise, or like if you're trying to like just like this narrator, right? Like he's trying to learn about all the insights and like get to the higher levels. Then he like is trying to be around those people to get to the higher levels. Um, Yes, I was gonna actually just bring you up, Angel. I was gonna say, my friend Angel, who's in here, I was gonna say, I don't know if she's still here, but she is very in tune with a bunch of stuff. I'll let her speak for herself if she wants to. But
Nice.
actually, one time, hey,
Uh,
Hello, hello. Thank you for joining.
doing.
but one time, I don't know if you remember, we went on a hike and me and Angel, we were just like sitting on the rock, like looking out at the view, and like she was talking, I was closing my eyes, and I like saw like a couple visions of things, and then we're walking on our way back, and I just like stopped, and she's like, are you good?" And I was like, "Yo, like I feel like this crazy like loving energy right here," and she was saying like it could have been someone like that just passed through before this or something like that. But I never had an experience like that, and I was with Angel. So, Angel, introduce
I don't even remember
yourself.
that, and that's crazy because that's how long ago that probably was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it
I
was you.
story too. Words.
Huh? Sorry. What do you say?
I just said I remember hearing that story from her too. Same words.
I do so much. See, like the crazy thing is, like I'll always. It sounds terrible, but like I'll always forget that kind of stuff because it happens all the time to me.
Yeah.
So like I'm always hearing from people like, remember when you said this, this, and this? And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, it happened. And I'm like, oh shit, bro. But yeah. So this I wrote a couple of days ago because I don't know. I was just in a space, and I'm just gonna forewarn, very abstract. So I low key want to see how you guys connected to the chapter because I obviously like know in my head, but I'm curious to see how people would perceive it because it's a very abstract kind of piece. But it's called Hands, and here we go. Small hands at the mercy of God. Small hands at the mercy of God. What does God want from me, and what does it all mean? When you're out of alignment, energy still runs through you. I pick up the phone. Hello? Static. No one is there. God's customer service must be busy right now. I'll call again later. There's a whole dimension floating through me, and I just sit back and watch like it's a movie. We all want to be loved, but love has different meanings. There's a rare glitch that happens when someone's on the same page at the same time. Other than that, you are floating in the empty. Yet what you may come to find is that the empty is so full. I took my second and third dimension to the laundromat. My brain needed a good washing. I put my money in the machine, but then remembered I'm broke. Well, that's okay. We can sit and watch the spin cycle.
Angel! I never heard your poetry before.
That's what's up. That's fire. I like that.
That was really nice.
Very metaphorical. What's your sign?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm a Virgo.
Ah, okay. That's cool. That makes sense.
A lot of people can never, they're like, are you a water sign? Are you this? Are you that? And I'm like, no, I'm an earth sign.
You know your big three?
Yeah.
What is it?
So I'm a Virgo sun, an Aries moon, and a Cancer rising.
Ah, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, the pattern of energy thing I learned once as well. We used to trip in groups, and I would be ahead of the group. And I remember one time I specifically had, I don't know what song it was on, but it was kind of like a low vibrational song. And we were walking on campus, and I was walking ahead. And then I remember the people behind me were like, yo, why does it feel so weird over here? You know? And I'm like, oh, I'm probably just leaving streaks of weird energy around. It reminds me of like using disinfectant wipes, because it's like once you start wiping, if you could see, I guess, like the energy, if it turned out to be a color, you'd see you're really just kind of smearing the energy around, I feel like, instead of moving it places. But yeah, I definitely think the energy you're giving off at the time will kind of sit there for a while in the space, and that someone else can pick up off of it, even if you've left the space. The energy will linger.
Do you think that people, because this is like, I guess what I immediately thought of after that was like the perception of energy, whereas you may perceive it as not good or lower vibrational, someone else may not perceive that, and they may perceive something the complete opposite. And the only reason I bring it up is because a lot of what I've been going through as of lately is really wanting to see, how do I word this in like a not weird way, trying to enter the entrepreneurship space and being just completely independent, both of self but also financially. I've learned a lot of how much we run away from certain things under the guise of like positivity instead of facing certain
Oh my God.
When I started to think like that, I started to say, yo, not for nothing, like I run from shit that I do that just, it's the self-sabotage thing, and it's like under the guise of, well, it's not good energy, right? How much of that is like, oh, it's really not good energy, versus your perception is skewed because of the fact that it's just, I don't know. Does that make sense? Like, do you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah, I think that was kind of like one of those things. I think we were talking about awareness before. It's like any situation, you have to understand that everything is beautiful. It's like you only see the beauty. Like if something bad happens, everyone's like, why did they leave? Blah, blah. Well, they weren't for you, so why would you want to be there? But because we are so afraid to step out into something else, it's like we all have like little decisions to make, but we don't understand how big our decisions are to ourselves. It's not until you're aware that there's goodness in all things that we do, but some things might benefit us more at this time and things like that. So is that kind of like what you're talking about? It's like,
yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, pretty much like, oh gosh, because okay, so I've been watching this guy called Myron Golden a lot, because he not only is a very excellent like business consultant, he's very proficient, and he's biblical, but he's not religious, if that makes sense. So like he'll study and break down the Bible in its true text, but he's not like you know, religious like this, that, and the third. It's just the way he decided to break it down for himself. And what I found is we think very similarly. And one of the things that he brought up was just the way that human beings make excuses for themselves and feed into and buy into the excuses in order to prevent them from doing the thing that is more of it's more of a challenge for them to do in order to get where they need to be. Like exercise, when you go to the gym, your muscles aren't like, oh my God, the gym. Your muscles are like, ah, shit, the gym. Like it's about to get crazy up in here. And you're mad sore the next day and all that. And he was saying people give up when things start getting harder.
Oh, yeah.
And he's saying, whenever in nature have you ever seen it to where things got easier before they got better? When you see people detox, the very nature of it in and of itself, you're introducing nothing but positivity into your body. You're completely sober, but you feel like death. So he brought that into play. He was like, when you go to the gym, you're not going to feel better. He's like, you feel terrible after the gym. When you start eating healthy, you've been eating like crap your whole life. Now all of a sudden you've got 3 days of celery in you, right? You're going to feel like crap because your body is like we're kind of delayed in a sense. Like and this is what I wanted to ask when you guys were talking about it. In terms of the chakras, I had someone ask me well, they didn't directly ask me. She's like, my girlfriend wants to talk to you about chakras. I was like, okay. But it got me thinking about it. Where does the energy come from? And I was thinking about, and it sounds kind of like funny, but so it came to my mind, the avatar scene for the chakras where they're represented as a pool that flows into each other. So when I thought of it that way, I was like, well, flow. I was like, well, a flow has to start from somewhere. So is it starting from the root or is it starting from the top?
But you're attached. You have an energetic cord attached from your root to the earth.
Right. But I feel, what was it? The realization that I had, the realization I had that night when I thought about it was, when you, like, how could any of your other chakras, so to speak, really be in any form of alignment if you don't have the openness of the crown to receive from the beyond, essentially? And the reason I kind of rationalized that was I was like, if you can't receive sort of, I don't want to, and I'm still, to be honest with you, I'm still struggling with that concept of like the intimate connection between you and source. I interchanged source with God, but because I feel like people are searching for their purpose or what have you. And so I was saying, well, if you're not open here, then how are you seeing here? And whatever it is that you're seeing here, you say through here, which then starts to become a relationship between you and a person or the earth, which then gives you a sense of power or lack of power, which then gives you a sense of pleasure or lack of pleasure, which is then how you experience reality. So I went from like here to here, and I was like, honestly, if this isn't open, you're not going to be seeing clear. You're not going to be speaking clear. You're going to be in pain. Like, you're not going to know how to heal yourself. You're not going to feel empowered. And so your reality is going to be a mess. And I feel like this is what is always meant when people are like, oh, well, you're, so to speak, because I don't believe you're ever lost. And that's what this part of the poem was saying. When you're out of alignment, energy still runs through you. You're still alive. So, yeah, I don't even know how I got to that side of the tangent, but I was just really like,
I
was really deep in it, like, because I really sometimes sit and ponder perception. I sit and ponder like, well, we're in a space of duality. And this is another thing that he brought up. And he was like, have you ever seen a one-sided piece of paper? Have you ever seen a one-sided pancake? Have you ever seen a one-sided coin? So it's like,
only the moon is one-sided.
I like that. When you start to break it down, it's like we're creatures of perception, and that fascinates me because it's like it's a challenge to accept, quote unquote, both perceptions, like the good and bad perception. But then when you start breaking it down like that and applying it to the concept of positive and negative energy, do you see how my brain is like thinking?
Yeah, because you're saying, are you saying is there like a universal when you say positive and negative, I'd say like fear and love. So it's like, well, if this isn't love, then it's obviously fear, so it's going to bring me down. But because I'm the perceiver and the master of my reality, I can flip it and say, well, if I don't go to the gym, I'm loving myself because I won't feel pain, you know. But it's
Right.
like, is that really loving myself?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
I mean, when I look at the concept of fear versus love, though, I do not have a problem with fear. And the reason I do not have a problem with fear is because fear is intrinsically a protection mechanism of the physical. If I wasn't afraid to stand by the edge, I could slip and fall and die. Anxiety is something that we experience as a manifestation of, well, I'm not standing next to the edge of the cliff, but I'm damn sure not comfortable about what I know I need to do.
That's really interesting you said that, because I was talking to Ra about that. I was like, do you know what the opposite of fear is? And he goes, insanity. Because if you don't have a little bit of fear, that's probably not good, because like you just said, like it's like a
No, I don't believe in this that you're all saying. You don't
I
know
mean,
what's gonna happen when you die. That's a fear that you could die and it could be a banging reality you go to next, that you needed to go stand by that cliff, but it's like the fear state might push you back from the cliff, and it's like, no, if you had some love in you, you would have jumped right off that hole and been in your next state of reality. But you had some fear, so
I mean, like to an extent, because like if you have no fear, you can like put yourself in very dangerous situations, like, and just get like terribly injured in a car crash and stuff. You
no,
can just be
you're
like,
having
no
fear.
fear. You have like a little
No
bit.
fear, but having fear.
Let's go back. Let's talk about energy. So if our spirit's telling us we gotta go, it's time to go. We gotta go. Like we all say, we are the spirit and not. So what's wrong with that? Why are we telling people it's okay?
Okay, let me caveat that.
Mm.
Is it a bad thing though?
That's
Because
I
what
just,
if you're accepting of your death, and you're also accepting of the fact that you're a creature that in this physical dimension is not okay with the removal of the gift of the experience.
I think that's
Because
a
at the end
lower
of the day,
vibrational thought.
you think it's a lower vibrational
Yeah, you're
thought?
not in your higher self fearing the physical, losing anything physical. You're not going to see energy fields. The whole point of, following the insights, you're not going to go through the insights if you're moving with fear. I feel like it's not the pattern that you
I
want to
don't know.
move.
I definitely don't agree with that.
That's what's up.
I like this.
And the reason I the only reason I say I don't agree is because I've been through both. I went through a time and space where I didn't care about anything. I went through a time and space where I was trying to seek out that perfect level of awareness, that perfect level of beingness, that and what really, really hit me one day was, because I feel like there's a lot of pressure in that space to, like I said, connect to that or try and manifest that, to avoid anything that's not that. What hit me one day was when someone was doing prompts in it was either hypnosis or NLP type of space, and she said, picture like this greater version of yourself or what have you. And so I pictured naturally like the version of myself I want to be, or I want to look like this, I want to have this, right? Just that version. I want to be this, whatever. And what I realized was, then she next prompted me to say, feel how amazing that feels. Feel how worthy that feels. She started giving me energy prompts, like feel the feeling. But when I looked at that version I created in my mind, I didn't feel that. I felt the opposite of what she was saying to feel. So when I followed the prompts of what she said to feel, it created me right now. And I saw myself sitting down, like in this porch that I have in Puerto Rico, in a hoodie, like posted up chilling. And I was like, damn, the version of myself that I've been chasing is me. So in that time and space, like I became fully immersed with and fully okay with myself. But then the more I continued with my path, I guess, I started to have that other realization of, okay, so at some point, yeah, I'm gonna die. If it's absolutely out of my control, there's nothing I can do.
How
But
far are you in the book?
I mean, I read it back in high school, but I have to read it again. I haven't read it.
So realistically, you think the only way out of here is physical death?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I think that there's a multitude, and that's the poem said second and third dimension.
Right.
I took my second and third dimension to the laundromat. That was like a joke, but the reality of why I wrote that was because at the time I was just sitting there looking and just seeing all types of stuff, hearing all types of stuff, feeling all types of stuff, and recognizing that there's a complete alternate existence simultaneously existing with me. So I'm aware that you can get to that space without the physical death, but so then, which brings me back to like my perception on quote unquote fear. I feel I've gotten to a point where I am very thankful and in love with the existence, to the point where I feel a sense of duty to connect with others. And if I'm not physically here, you know what I'm saying? How much of an impact could I leave? So I'm as a physical being of this realm that is concerned with time, allowing myself to be comfortable with the fact that I'm a physical being in the realm of time, because I feel like I'm okay with either. See what I'm saying?
I'm trying to get, if you can explain that last part a little bit better.
Okay. Basically, I feel like I got to a point, I don't like calling it a spiritual path because I don't believe it's a path. I believe we just are alive having that experience, and it's unique to every single person and sort of what they're going through, I guess. But I got to a point in that space where I was like, I'm trying so hard not to want to be here. Like, I'm trying so hard to diminish my ego, as they say. I'm trying so hard to detach myself from the physical space. And I said, while that can be achieved, and that is a path, and that is an experience, and I think it's a very beautiful thing, I also don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing if you are embracing of the physical. So I came to that space of realizing the duality of both of those things and allowing myself to be comfortable with both. Like I became more comfortable, like, because I realized, like, how can I preach holisticness within myself if I'm simultaneously bashing a whole part of myself? So I kind of was like, I don't want to bash. I want to be open to it. I want to be open to the fact that whatever that is, because that's a whole other side conversation. But I kind of started to realize, like, I am inside of a physical body, and my physical body has a mind of its own when you really look at like human tendencies. So I was like, wait. And that's when I really started to realize, like, what is I? Like, what am I? Because when I realized that, I was like, my physical body has tendencies, it has patterns, it's habitual, and I'm coexisting with it. And then I got into deeper. I was like, well, some people, I don't know if that's the right word.
So, okay, so I guess what I'm thinking about is it's like if it's a video game, you're playing a video game, like, are you gonna, how much of the death in the video game are you gonna let affect the person playing, which would be the I? You feel me? So it's like, yeah, you're gonna lose your character and all the tools you gathered, but it's like at the end of the day, I'm here on Earth. So at the end of the day, whatever spirit has going on is still going on, regardless of what happens in the physical. But I think the to wrap it back around is that if we're able to positively, but that's the question. I think that the insight's kind of more of like a question, where is, does our positive or negative observation actually have an effect on results or expectations, like to what degree? But that's why they showed the plants, where it's like, well, when you do sit down and focus positively on something, it helped. Now plants are a little less than humans,
Well, I can speak on that positive energy because I, Danielle and Angel, you both know me personally, and I just go with the flow of things. And that, Angel, you told me when we read my cards the first day to trust my intuition, So that's me trusting my spirit as opposed to what I'm trying to get out of the physical world. And I only think of positive. I always say, I'm not leaving this earth until my duty, whatever that is, fulfilled. So my spirit wants to keep going no matter what my physical body wants to go.
Right.
So I think that there takes a part of understanding and then also just being. Because you can understand everything, but if you don't allow yourself to be, you can never reach to what you understood. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, I think if I'm understanding what you're saying you're accepting of, like, your nature of the idea of death. Is that what you're saying, like that? Like,
Well, because when you think about it, we're in a dimension of perceived time. Because, like, as we all sitting here know, time isn't really real from the sense of the spirit, and we can go on and on a tangent about time in and of itself. But I think that is where the innate, I want to say, perception of fear of death comes from, is because yes, I will probably be back, or if not here, somewhere else. Like, I'm not afraid. It's not a fear of me not being. Like, I'm not afraid of losing Angel. That's not
the
not
unknown.
It's not that. It's when you, and this ties into like a philosophy concept of eros, which is like the energy, the driving force. So when I took that class, it stood out to me, like it was literally a class about love. So we broke down different concepts of love, and one of those was eros, which when you think about it is quote unquote erotic, but people, when they hear the word erotic love, they immediately think of sex, and that's not what it is. Eros is an energy that drives. So some people take eros to a certain like, I can't even break it down because the way that it was broken down was over the course of a semester, and it was kind of a while ago. So like, I get it in my head, but to explain it's challenging for me. But when you have that quote unquote sense of purpose, like, so for example, if I wanted to leave a certain type of impact, I have a limited perception based concept of time as a human being. So as a human being, my body is like doing everything within its own power instinctively. Like, there's been several times my subconscious has avoided a car accident, not me. Like, my subconscious will bring me back to attention from whatever I'm not paying attention to, and you jerk back into position.
you wouldn't
Or
say
your
that
subconscious is,
be like
huh?
your higher self understanding that it's not your time to go, so it's snapping you back into reality?
I cannot definitively say, and by the way, guys, none of this is definitive. I'm brain dumping.
Yeah,
I don't have any of the answers, but I agree. Like, I feel that. I do. Because like, it seemingly makes sense. Like, oh, your soul is like, no, not yet. But so then that opens a whole new can of worms of like,
But
I'm
that's
not
what
trying
I'm
to feel
saying. It's
okay.
like because you do so much mental activity, try to understand instead of just accepting and being. And that's part of seeing the beauty, just accepting that we're part of this energy. We don't have to put it under our human grasp to control and understand. We just have to be a part and experience. That's the only way we understand is by experiencing. Because I've also avoided car crashes where I should have been gone, but it's because the universe is trying to tell me something.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you are crazy. I remember them pictures you showed me,
Hey,
boy.
so I'm
That's
saying I'm sure
wild.
I could do all these things because I've only experienced, and I step back from trying to say, why did I survive? It's like, maybe the universe was protecting me. Why was it protecting me? If I think of this,
Because you're not done yet. So if you die
exactly.
now, you're coming right back as a baby.
But we only would understand. If I were to keep going down that path, the universe is going to say, okay, this person doesn't understand. Boom, restart. Because I'm going to die eventually if they keep putting myself. It's not saying you can put yourself in every dangerous situation. It's like the universe will try to call you, but it's our job still as our own wandering soul to be like, oh, someone's trying to say something to me. You know, like, we're here all because of the human experience. If we're a soul, we came to the earth for our human experience. So in order
Right.
for us to say, let's if it's not our we don't say we throw that away. They say then we come back to be like, why did we do that? You know, you come back and you're wondering, how did it end so fast, or like, what do I still have to do, kind of thing. You know, unless it was a being thing where Huh?
I said every day I ask myself.
Yeah, it's just they're like, it's meditation. The meditation is the quiet mind. So they say that's when everything comes to us. So the more we try to physically put power into understanding is the less we understand. I think that the essence of being, because I sat quiet, not talking. Everyone knows I'm quiet at first, and I can only say things because of my experience and the quiet moments. But when I try to force and think something, it's like this. It's like I don't know if you guys heard that example. It's like if you put a kid in the room and you give him like a box and like two tools, and you say make this with only these tools, then the kid can only see one way when they can see everything in the other room to see what other options they can use to make something. Like you guys ever heard that? Like if I tell you to think one way, you're only going to think one way as opposed to seeing everything else. Like if you walk in a room, I say look for the elephant, you're going to look for the elephant, but you might miss what's in that corner over there. Like, did you see the cat? You're like, what cat? It was like, because you're so focused on one thing, you miss the bigger picture. Kind of.
But that's crazy though, because my brain is
Yes,
like, and when I say my
that's
brain,
it.
it's just,
You
huh?
gotta. I say you're saying brain, brain, brain. You gotta just be.
Yeah, but okay, so in the same token though, you're telling someone to just be, but what's wrong with thinking?
I didn't say there's nothing wrong with thinking. Like, just being means thoughts comes every day. But if you constantly put power to understand, then you're not just being. You're just being a mental being.
But I'm struggling with the concept of why it's not okay to do the other thing. Like how you can't tap into another level with the thing, because I've come to a lot of the space, I guess, that I've been in from a mental perspective. It's been a balance. There's definitely times where I allow myself just to be, and I do get from that. But there's plenty of other times where I receive through the form of a very abstract thought. I receive through the forms of playing devil's advocate a lot of the time too, because I realize the polarity. And so I'm trying to navigate it in a space where I almost feel like another form of my connection to spirit is through thought.
Yeah, because
Yes, she's a
being
bird.
as a being, we have a mind, we have a spirit, we have a body. There's a time to rest, there's a time to be active. So that's what I'm saying, just be, and then everything will come. Like you say, oh, I use my brain this time to do this, because that's because your being said it's time to use the mental. But if you're only using the mental to understand everything, then you miss the part of your soul taking part. You miss part of your body taking part. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, yeah, whoever said balance just now. It's like time to rest, time to move. So that's what I mean. Like, be. Like, let everything just do as it's supposed to. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like you were saying more of I used my mind to get all of this, and then that's how I got it, as opposed to, oh, at this point, I used my mind, and then it gave me these answers, and at this point, like, you could walk through a forest and experience, and you're like, oh shit, it's about to rain, but your mind didn't tell you that. It's because your body felt the way, or you smelt the ions in the air changing. That wasn't your mind. So there's time for this and that to go on. That's what I'm saying by just be. We all have an aspect of our being, so.
Yeah, I think it's definitely knowing when to do each thing. Like I was saying, know when to conduct the traffic and know when to be the observer of the traffic. Like know when to put your energy and focus directly on the plants and know when, the plants can use some time off from that, I guess. And I also want to say when you mentioned the thing about love, that's interesting because usually I'll try to wrap quantum mechanics and love together, where I'll say I'm a person that likes being alone, right? I like when my matter of empty space in the pattern of energy running through me is just me. But when I can fall in love with someone, or when I'm even just comfortable around someone, it's like their pattern of energy that flows through me doesn't disrupt the pattern of energy that I already have flowing through me. Whereas sometimes when somebody's staring at you, it might feel like, something's disrupting your pattern. But
Yeah.
I guess people, yeah, when our patterns seem to fit like puzzle pieces, and it's like, oh, it doesn't disrupt my vibration by you
It's
thinking.
kind of like a permission. You're allowing someone's energy to come to you, as opposed to someone willingly pushing their energy on you. That I feel like that's when you notice. Because if you let someone hold your hand, you're not gonna feel like the hairs on your hand moving. But if someone grabs your hand, you feel the wind come past you already, because you're like unfamiliar, you're not expecting it. So I think that was a cool point of that whole energy, and how your energy doesn't change because you like kind of allow that person to fit into you, fit with you.
Facts. Big facts. All right, we're over an hour. It's kind of long. Is there any other things? Thank you very much, Angel, for your Virgo thoughts and stuff like
And
that.
that was a dope poem too.
And the poem, yes, very, very nice. Loved it. And also, when you said second and third dimensions, I thought of children. I thought of you bringing your children to the laundromat. That's what I initially thought of. But any final thoughts and sayings? Thank you for everyone that has attended this live. Maybe Danielle is onto something. They kind of hung out more that we were just talking, but we'll see how it goes. I still like the yoga myself.
Thank you for letting me on.
Of course. Next week, Tuesday, you're more than welcome to jump back in. You have great. I would suggest reading the book, because I think it would help just with your own thoughts. Yeah. Yeah, it's every Tuesday. I don't know whose friend this is, Vagina De Niro.
That ain't my friend.
That's who said balance, and I understood.
Right, saying great things. But yeah, we're back next week. Every week we invite people on. Please join. Even if you don't read, if you got something to share. Okay, I love you guys.
Love y'all. Have a good night, guys.